Good evening, and I want to give you all a very warm welcome to our meeting this evening. It's great to see so many here with us, and we're missing those who will hopefully be watching from home on the live stream as they shield or are unable to come and be with us due to illness. We give a special welcome to Kim Stockman, our new pastoral worker, who is no stranger to us here in White House. Welcome. Okay, I have a couple of the housekeeping rules that we just sort of need to go over. And I thank you all for coming in and sitting where you are sitting this evening, Okay, as you can see, there's a one-way system. There's arrows here, so if you need to leave the sanctuary for any reason, if you go out through this way, and then you need to go out through the doors and back in through the front doors again, okay? You just can't come back in through these doors. We're allowed to stand for our two hymns, but apart from that, we should remain seated unless we need a comfort break, where you'll be accompanied out, so you will, and then back and round. Our theme for the next 2 years is Side by Side, and there are many ways we can come alongside our friends, our elders, our younger people, and as we go through our programme this year, we'll see many examples of how we can come alongside different people in our community and in the world. Last month we had Doreen here and how she comes alongside the patients and their relatives in the hospital. Our opening hymn is The King of Love, My Shepherd Is, and this has been chosen for us by Kim, okay? So it's a well-known one, so we should be able to sing out well. He's scared of getting shouted at later, so he is, I think. Technology's great when it works, okay? So, through the PW, Presbyterian Women's Special Home Project for 2020-21, will support the work of CARE NI, and that's Christian Action Research and Education. CARE seeks to uphold human dignity and to support the most vulnerable people in our society. Engaging with politicians in the UK parliaments and assemblies and the EU institutions in its advocacy work. CARE encourages Christians to be informed and to engage positively in public life. It aims to equip individual Christians and the churches to act as effective light and salt in the local community and nationally. Our Special Home Project for 2020-21 will specifically support projects called Loved and Open, which provide miscarriage support for both women and men. This project will meet a very significant need in the lives of many. We're now, hopefully, going to see a short video about their work, after which we'll pass over to Lisa and Kim.
As a response to the silence in churches which so often surround issues of unintended pregnancy and pregnancy loss, including miscarriage and abortion. We know that there are many in our churches for whom these issues are part of their story. Open began as a response to the silence in churches which so often surround the sensitive issues of unintended pregnancy and pregnancy loss, including miscarriage and abortion. We know that there are many in our churches for whom these sensitive issues are a part of their story, and yet they are afraid to share about it for fear of judgment. So our aim at Open is to help create within churches an environment where we can talk about these issues with grace and with compassion. We offer church leaders training, we offer pastoral training, and as a response to our speaking in churches, we also offer post-abortion healing retreat weekends and miscarriage healing retreat days for those who do respond and want to come and address the ways in which these issues have affected their lives.
So I grew up in a Christian home, and to me abortion was almost unthinkable. I always said that I would never have one. I couldn't believe that people could actually do that. And then I found myself pregnant when I was at college. I had no idea what to do. I just thought, in the situation that I'm in, I'm studying and I don't have any money, we're not married, I've just come back to church. What are they gonna think?
I can remember very clearly the first thing I said, and it was, we have to get out of it.
Just been on a open healing retreat. It's a post-abortion healing retreat, and I came into it not knowing at all what was going to come up for me. I uncovered a lot of things that I didn't even know were affecting me. A lot of issues surrounding my anger, because I'd experienced quite an intense period of anger. It was very open, very safe, very honest, and I feel like I've come on more in the past couple of days than I have in a long time.
Our retreats, called Open and Loved, are for those who have experienced either unintended pregnancy or miscarriage, to share with others what they have been through and the way it has affected them. We offer retreats for women and for couples across Northern Ireland to take some time aside to a safe place, to reflect on what they have been through and to acknowledge that their babies existed and are loved.
I would just like to say thank you to everyone involved for making today happen. It was a really lovely day, difficult at times and exploring very difficult emotions, but I did find being amongst people who've gone through similar experiences a really good help at a very, very difficult time.
The Love Retreat was just a beautiful day to acknowledge a painful experience in life and to share it with other people who have also had painful experience of miscarriage. Just felt that I received a lot of grace in just giving that time to acknowledge the life that was and that is no longer, and also to really tap into God and His presence with me in that. So I'd strongly advise anyone who's had a similar experience to definitely come along to the Love Retreat to receive an awful lot of healing in that one day.
I was encouraged to come after sharing that I had had 5 miscarriages, and I found it a really healing, a really wholesome day of being able to share with other women what had happened. It was one day where I could share my innermost thoughts and feelings and have healing through the remembrance during that day. I would encourage people to come and just avail of the real healing presence that happens during that day.
Through our retreats, we hope to lift the silence that so often surrounds pregnancy loss and to bring hope and healing to those who have been affected.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. And tonight, Kim has very gratefully volunteered to sit in the hot seat, not really, and very kindly talk to all of us. I'm very warm, my back's to you, or can you at least hear me? I'm really sorry. To talk to us about herself and her role as our pastoral key worker. I don't know whether Kim's aware of this, but our theme is obviously side by side, and for me in White House, Kim has definitely came alongside me on a number of occasions, be that through prayer, be that through her kind words of wisdom in moments of my madness, in guiding me to be a community member here, and just in my walk of faith, and I thank you for that, Kim. I'm very grateful. I thought I knew Kim, and on Thursday I had the privilege of phoning her up and chatting to her, and I found out I actually didn't know Kim at all. So I'm hoping you all take away something that you didn't really know about Kim tonight. So the first question, Kim, is literally all about you.
Gosh.
Tell us a little about you and your family.
Right, well, first of all, can everybody hear me okay? Yeah?
She keep talking to the mic.
I have a wee pin mic on. Can you hear me? Is that a wee bit better?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, thank you very much to the PW for asking me along tonight. This is quite a new job that I have got within the church, but I'm going to tell you a wee bit about me and my family. So I have a few photographs that I've brought along tonight, or well, Gillian has kindly put them all together. Hopefully they're going to come up on the screen. But anyhow, this was just this time last year. I'm married to Paul. Paul's beside Bryony here. And then this is my lovely new daughter-in-law from last year. And that's my son, Brent. And the other side of me is my other son, Kyle. And this was probably the most recent photograph that I had of my family, because obviously this year there hasn't really been a lot of opportunities to have photographs. So they were married a year ago this week, and it was just a really lovely occasion, and we had such a happy day. And they are so happy still to be married, and everything's going well. So that's just my immediate family. I've been married to Paul for 40 years next year, God willing. Like, that sounds a real lifetime, but it's just went like that. And we have been blessed with these two boys, and well, I think that they're quite close. I know everybody says, you know, a boy's a boy till he gets a wife, but he's still in like my house, so I'm quite happy about that. And it's lovely having a girl in and around us. This is another wee photograph. They're mad keen on Tottenham Hotspur, so they are tonight top of the league. So just as I speak here, they're very pleased that they're top of the Premiership at the moment. So inside their suits there, they have the little Tottenham crest, so that's that photograph. And I love this one too, of the two of them. They're like chalk and cheese, by the way. One's very sensible, the other one has really not much common sense at all. And this is our little dog now. Wee Sky passed away just in January of this year. But that was a special day, and that photograph just sort of arrived maybe a couple of weeks after she passed, so it's again as special, but that's just my immediate family there. Now, this is our new pet in the family, which doesn't belong to Paul and I, it belongs to Brent and Bryony. And I think that they really went out and got that dog just to keep us kind of from fretting for Sky. But she's, again, a very, very large dog. She's an Irish Doodle, which is a cross between a red setter and a poodle. So she's extremely large, extremely clumsy, but we all love her. We all love her, and she's just really lifted that heartache of losing a pet. I'm sure for any of you that has lost a pet, it's really, really, it's traumatic. You know, you can't explain it if you're not an owner of a pet, really, but we all broke our hearts, but I think it took a good lot out of Paul, because he was with her a good lot over the last lot of years, and she was just his wee sort of companion when we were all out at work, and he really missed her. So that's the new addition too. She has a dicky bow on there. She's not going to a wedding or anything, and I don't know why she's wearing a dicky bow. That seems to be the new thing to put round your dog for some reason. She has lots of collections, but of them. So I have really grown up in this church all my life. I can't ever remember a time that I haven't been here. So I presume that I was brought here when I was very young, probably baptised here. My mum cleaned for the Reverend James Nutt in White House Park, which is one of our old ministers, and my granny and granda were the caretakers for a number of years. So I have great memories of White House Church. I mean, it's just been part of my life. It is just part of my life, really, and I just love being here. Throughout sort of being here, I've been in lots of different things, probably the main thing being GB. Again, I probably joined that when I was maybe 3, 4. I don't know whether you were allowed to join it that early, but I was probably in from right whenever you were the eligible age to join it. So I've been in Girls Brigade all my life, and I've met really lovely girls, and a lot of you here tonight have been friends that I have gained through Girls Brigade, and I mean the friendships are still going strong, and we have had such good times, such good companionship, such good friendship through the Girls Brigade. So I mean, it is a big part of your life, really, when you're in GB. It's hard sometimes to join it maybe when you're a bit older, But if you join it really from the word go, you grow up with all them people and you come right through the ranks with them. And then he ended up as captain, and I don't really know how he ended up as captain either, but I did. Liz asked me to be captain in the year 2000. So I done that role for 10 years, and it was really hard work now. You know, people think that you just turn up on a Friday and a Monday night, but I'm sure Isabel and Janice, whoever is here, I don't know whether Claire's here, the new captain, but it is hard work, but you gain so much from it. And it definitely matured my faith, really, really. You know, but I couldn't do it any longer than 10 years. I felt that 10 years is enough to do it, and really it's an opportunity for somebody else to take over. I've been in lots of different things. I help out with the boot sale, come to the midweek. Oh, there's probably lots of different things throughout the year, but in 2010, for anybody that maybe is new to the church, we would have had a team that would have went to Romania quite a lot over a few years, and Helen kept going on about, the great time, you know, they had when they were away and all. So I thought, I'm going to try and maybe go. So we went with this team in 2010. And again, that was a great experience. I think there's a few wee photos. There we are. There's a few wee photographs. Gosh, look at me. I have no skills whatsoever for building, let me say. I wouldn't have a clue about how to fix a plug. I don't have any of them skills at all, but this little group of people were really wonderful to be with, and we had such a great time, and it was such a lovely opportunity to be able to help build this tiny little, and it really is just like a bed sit that you're building for these people, but they have nothing, and we built that in a week. You know, we built several homes in a week. And I have to say about Davy Creaney, because one day I was sort of like plastering with him, and I'm throwing the plaster up the wall, and it's all, as you probably can see, my trousers. There was more of it on me. And I says, Davy, you're really going to have to help me here. I haven't a clue what I'm doing. He was, you're doing great. You're doing really great. You're doing great, love. And I just always remember how much he encouraged me, even though I was making a real mess, Davy was there, and he was behind me. So what I put up on the wall, Davy was coming along and fixing, and it was really wonderful. And all the gentlemen that were there, you know, John Dunlop was there, and he was encouraging. Charles was there. Oh, there was just so many people, and we had just a great time. And for anybody that maybe wants to go and do that type of thing, maybe when we get COVID out of the way, it's just a great experience. And I'm sure any of the girls that are here tonight would agree that it was just a wonderful time. And again, it's just lovely to be able to help people that had so little. And of course, at the ceremony where you hand over the keys, all the White House ones were standing, and we were just in floods of tears, and you know, they were in floods of tears. There was so much emotion, but it was just really an amazing experience. So, you know, it's one that I will remember. I'd like to show you another wee sort of photograph of perhaps this lady. You know her because she sprays your hands coming in on a Sunday. She takes your names for church on a Sunday. She practically does everything in this church, really, but Helen was awarded the MBE. Now, I think that was 2014. Where is Helen? Is she?
Helen's out in the hall.
Oh, she can probably hear me, I'm sure. 2014. And I remember the day she told me that she got it. Obviously, you get your envelope and you're not allowed to tell anybody for a long time, you know, prior to that. Can you see me okay? Yeah. And I mean, she didn't mention it, and I came in the side door for church one Sunday morning, and she says, Kim, come here. And I thought she was going to say, what are you here, or what do I have to do, or, you know, something connected with the church. And she says, I'm getting the MBE. And I says, what? She says, I'm getting the MBE. And I says, what? And she says, yeah, I couldn't tell anybody, but I'll be coming out tomorrow, but I wanted to tell you. So there was such great excitement, awarded to somebody that fully deserved it, and we just didn't know how. I think it was kind of coming up to Christmas time, maybe, that news broke, really, and we didn't know what to do. You know, we wanted to celebrate it with her, so we thought that we would take her out for afternoon tea. So we were going really posh. We went to the Culloden, and they put us into this lovely room, which had lovely big paintings of, like, you know, people that we wouldn't even have known. You can maybe just see them there, but we really did feel like film stars that day, and we had a great time. And you know, that's just how, you know, one of the friendships that you have, that you make in church, you know, and you just remember them special times with people. So I just brought them 2 occasions really up, but there's loads of other occasions, but I could talk all night, so I'll probably better not.
I could listen all night.
I don't know whether you could listen all night or not, but you know, that was a great day. That's us up the stairs. We never got to stay the night. We could only afford the afternoon tea.
Maybe next time.
Maybe the next time, Lisa. You're so right.
So, from talking to you and from you telling everybody here, you know, you were in GB at such a young age. You were obviously surrounded by church and the church family. So how did you come to actually the knowledge of faith or faith itself? What has been your journey?
Well, as I say, I always came to church. You know, church was just part of my life, really, and it's never really kind of been something that I've thought, well, I've got to go to church or I've got to attend church. It's just something, you know, even these next 2 weeks, they're kind of like, you know, sort of, they're heavy on your heart because you know that you're not going to be here on a Sunday. Now, I do love the shops as well, so I'm not going to be in the shops either. But, you know, it's just like something being taken away. But really, I haven't had a big experience of coming to faith in that, you know, I really was like kind of, you know, I knew that I was saved. What I could remember is a tent on the Doak Road in the Congregational Church. I think it was about 14, 15, and it was one of the missions that the Reverend Workman would have had, and I do remember walking up to the front and giving my life to Christ that night. But if I'm being honest, I don't know whether that was such a big an experience as it was an event of being there that night. But I would say that my faith has just matured just by through different opportunities and just in places that God has put me. And sometimes we're frightened, you know, to move away from something because we kind of feel that door's going to close and how am I going to cope with that door being closed? But that door closes and just another door opens, and I believe that that's God putting you in the place, and He's just surrounding you with the right people at the right time. And I mean, I just could not survive without my faith. I just feel that it just gets me through the day. It gets me through many's a night when you're not really knowing how your next day's going to go, but you kind of just, you know, I don't know whether you ever awaken during the night and you kind of think, I'm really worried about something, and it starts to play on your mind, and you toss and you turn and you think, how am I going to ever get to sleep again? And then you start to I maybe would start to talk to God, and the next thing I'm sleeping. Sometimes that angers me because I kind of feel, oh, I fell asleep in the middle of a prayer and I shouldn't have done that. But somebody once told me that I'm actually falling asleep in God's arms. So that's kind of like nearly helped me to believe that He's taking care and He's putting me back to sleep again. So since I know that there, I'm quite happy now, you know, to believe that He's caring for me even in the dark of the night. So I believe God strengthens your faith in lots of different ways. When my mum died suddenly, that was a terrible time for me personally because well, just the suddenness of her death really kind of rocked my world, and it kind of rocked just my whole being. And I wasn't really well for a couple of years because I just couldn't get over losing her. I didn't come to church for about a year, and in no way was I angry with God for taking her. I was just angry that I was left without a mum, and we were just, to me, we were quite young. But we weren't really, but you know, we still just didn't know how to cope without her, and I just sort of felt so depressed. But I believe God again worked just in his way that only he can, and he brought me through that. And again, I just find that he wasn't giving me the strength that I needed at that time. So he does, God works in really strange ways. It's not black and white. And sometimes you have to wait. Sometimes your answer comes quite quickly. And sometimes you just have to wait, and you just have to trust.
And it's having that patience, isn't it? And
It's having that patience and just that belief that even though you can pray for something for a long time and you think, no, it's not going back to where it is, and maybe that's the time that you need to acknowledge that maybe that's not the way that God wants you to go back there, and you have to trust that he's preparing a different way for you.
so you're not very long appointed or pastoral care worker at White House. So can I ask what drived you, maybe is the right word, or what guided you to apply?
Yeah. Well, throughout my life, I have been really encouraged and really brought on by people within this church. I think we have a photograph of May. Julian, maybe do we have a photograph of May here? Maybe. Come. Doreen and Liz, again, really were great instruments in my faith sort of becoming stronger, and through encouragement. Like Liz was a great one, you know, for saying, you can do it, you can do it. And I said, oh no, I couldn't do it. Oh, you can do it, you can do it. And then I thought, you know, I really don't know whether I want to do it, because then I might have to do it again. So she was a great one for always like pushing you, and Doreen was always a great encourager. But we have a wee photograph of May, and I'm sure everybody knows May. May has been just kind of like a second mother to me, because May and my mum were best friends, and there she is at the wedding. And that's another wee photograph of us just celebrating Helen again in a different location. But May and my mum were great friends, and I mean, when we were coming to Sunday school, like there was no like sort of like come into church and then you went out to Sunday school for 20 minutes, like, or half an hour. We walked down a very long road to Sunday school every morning in the wet and the rain and the snow, and we didn't really think anything of it. But May was always there, ready to welcome us with that hug that we're all kind of missing at the moment, with that hug. And she maybe made us toast and beans, and we maybe didn't get much sort of a Bible class done, but we got the love of God through May. So May has been a great sort of person that I have always looked to, just inspired and just love. And I just think she's a great role model. I'm diverting off your question, Lisa. At the beginning of this year, Kirk's session and Stephen decided that we would maybe need the role of a pastoral worker in church. We had kind of lost a few people, and it is great that somebody's there to help Stephen just along with the pastoral work. So within Kirk's session, we have different working groups. We have a mission, we have prayer and fellowship, we have pastoral. I've probably left out somebody, which I'm sorry there about, but I would head up the pastoral group. Now, I say head up, but everybody, we're all doing equally the same great work in it. So Stephen sort of issued us with the job description for the new pastoral work, just for us to have a wee look at to see, if there was anything that we could maybe think that could be added to the job description or taken away. So I was reading it and I thought, do you know what, I think I like the sound of that wee job. But you have to remember, I was in a job that I loved. I was a classroom assistant. I really loved my job. I loved the people that I worked with. I was 5 minutes away from my home travelling. And I just didn't kind of think, of maybe giving that up. But anyhow, the job was advertised. I prayed about it, I thought about it. And I thought to myself, is this God leading me to another wee stage of my life? I'm coming 62. So is he leading me to another wee stage of my life that maybe he wants me to be in so that I can serve him in that role to kind of finish my working life? So I did pray hard about it, and of course COVID came along and the job was put to the side because obviously there wasn't going to be any interviews. So I kept thinking about it and I thought, well, maybe that's an indication that it's just not for me. But as you know, none of us have been at work. Well, we weren't definitely at school from March time, so I kind of thought about it off and on. I thought, well, if it's for me and all that. But then again in July, all the people that had sort of applied for the job, they had all been notified along with myself that COVID had stopped the job process and that when it started again we all would be notified. So about July time I got a letter to say that I was going to be one of the ones that was interviewed. I had been shortlisted for the job and that I would be interviewed. And that was a scary thing because I haven't really been interviewed for a wee while, and I was going to be interviewed by people that really kind of knew me as well. So came to the interview, everybody was very lovely. I think 5 people had maybe been in before me, and again I come out, but I was quite relaxed about it because I thought, well, if it works, that'll be brilliant, and if it doesn't, I still have my job in school. And then Stephen contacted me to say that the panel had decided that, that I would be placed into that role. I kind of was very surprised. I was very humbled as well that my church had enough faith in me to take that role, because I did say at the interview that, normally at interviews they ask you, is there anything you want to... Is there any questions that you'd like to ask? And I said, not really, other than I want this to be the right person for this job. I don't care if it's not me, I want it to be the right person for our church. So I was very humbled to think that they had taken, that leap of faith in me, and it was quite a surprise to the people that I did work with in school, because I think it was because we hadn't been at school from March time. So, when I contacted my principal, I think there was a lot of shock. We didn't really see this coming, or nobody had really any sort of inkling that maybe I was going to change my job. So it was a very sad day when I left school. It was very sad. It was very sad, and they were so generous to me, and there's something very special when children cry after you, because they normally just call your name when they need you to help something. But it was very special, and they're still a lovely group that I worked with, because they're still keeping me on their wee chat groups and all, which is great, because then I hear what's happening in school and all, and it's really, really lovely, and they're just interested, to how things are going. And we used to joke in work because, I always try to get God into any wee sort of situations that happen, so they always used to say that I was Joyful Kim because, you know, I was saying, right, we're going to keep the joy in it all, we're going to keep the joy in it, and, you know, it was just sad to leave, but I do feel again there's that door's closed and the other one's opening.
So I guess you have started a role in the middle of the pandemic, and that will bring its challenges. So what difficulties have you experienced, and what encouragement have you also received or experienced?
Yeah. Well, yes, it probably was the worst time in the world to start a new job. But the first 3 weeks, I was loving it because I was out visiting people, and I meet with Stephen on a Monday morning, and we just generally, like, there's lots of people that I know in this church, but there's also lots of people that I really don't know. So when you have a name on a page, you're kind of thinking, now, who is that? If I can get the location of where somebody sits, that is a good indicator, you know, that I might know them. But it doesn't always work like that, because sometimes we change our seats, and more so now, definitely. Excuse me, but we just sort of talk about people that obviously maybe do need a wee bit more pastoral care at the moment. And I was really enjoying visiting for about 3 weeks, and just loving, you know, just loving hearing people and just of how they've been coping through the sort of the virus time, you know, because there's quite a lot of lonely people out there, and, you know, just everybody has coped in a different way, and it's just been amazing how many older people that I have went into, but when I come out I think, gosh, I've really loved that time I'm with them. They've done my heart good more than me talking to them, because some people are very upbeat, and there's some that are maybe like really very frustrated by it because they can't see their family and they can't do, and I understand that too, you know, but we all know that we're in this time of waiting, and when we wait, good things normally happen at the end of a wait, so we will come through this time, but it's hard when you're in it, and I think you would all agree that some days we handle things better. Some nights I go to bed and I think, this is day 66, I haven't been out, day 66. I was counting it like that. 66 dinners I had made before we even got a takeaway one night, because we don't really normally do a lot of takeaways. And I would have said to Paul, 66 nights I haven't been out. And he says, oh, well, I know it, Kim. Because he's so used to me being in and out, you know, and you know what it's like, you're kind of on top of one another for 24 hours a day, and you're kind of thinking there's only so much you can talk really about before you kind of become really, there's nothing else to talk about. But I was enjoying the visiting, and then there was the further restriction put on that we couldn't even go to visit, not unless it was like bereavement or emergency. So then I started to telephone people, and I'm sure maybe some of you have had a telephone call from me, and I worried about that too, because I kind of thought, I'm not doing this really right, because like phoning seems too easy just to have for a job. But I spoke to Stephen about it, and you know, he's a lovely boss, and he says,
Did he pay you for that?
No, he didn't. He says, don't worry, you're building relationships. So I kind of think now, every time that I'm speaking to people, that I am building that relationship, but I'm really looking forward to the day when I can actually go back into people's homes, and or meet them for a coffee, or just to get alongside them. And I know that your theme for PW is side by side, and that's literally what pastoral care is all about. I'm no special person. I can't do it any better. You all can do it, and we all do it very well in this church, I think. It's just getting side by side with somebody that's maybe not really having a good time in their life, or again, side by side somebody that's having a great time in their life. I think there's a wee verse up there. This is one of the verses that I do like. A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a time of adversity. And I mean, that's just to me, you You just don't be with the friends when you're having a good time, or you just don't be with them when they're carrying you along. You're with them through every stage of their life. And I think we can all be that friend. We've all been down, we've all got picked up by somebody, we've all known that strength that somebody has gave us, because we're all weak at various times, but we're also strong. So if we can recognise that in one another and we can relate that, that's just wonderful, I think. You know, that's just been able to do that. Another favourite verse of mine, Lisa had asked me for maybe a couple of verses, or Hilary, I can't remember. Like, you could pick loads of verses. I could have really done a whole lot of, but I do like this one. Do not be anxious about anything. Now, that's easier said than done. But in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. Yes, and that's how you do it. You have that conversation with God. Perhaps something that I haven't mentioned up until now is my husband, Paul. He retired from his job in 2009. So, you know, when they retire and you sort of like think, oh, I have a whole lot of jobs you can be doing here. So he was doing wee bits and pieces about the house, and he said to me, Kim, I feel like as if like a flu all the time. I feel really sore. If you were working down, sort of doing something down lower, he had to really hang on to chairs to get up. He was just finding it difficult, but couldn't really pinpoint what was wrong with him. And being a typical man, he didn't go to the doctors for, I'm sure, over a good year. And when he went, you know, we all have faith in doctors, and we automatically think that a doctor is going to recognise a condition straight away. That wasn't the case with Paul. They sent him for lots of tests. They sent him for ME, for motor neurons, just a lot of scary tests, but they all were coming back clear, but nobody could work out what was wrong with him. So they took a piece of muscle from his legs, because he was finding that his legs at the top here were very, very weak. And again, the consultant, when the biopsy came back, said, steroids, Paul, we'll get you on them, we'll get you back. Something's been attacking your muscles, and therefore, you know, we need to get that repaired. So that went on. Like time, when I'm talking time, I'm talking years. I'm not talking weeks or months. The steroids were making no change at all in him. They revisited the biopsy and they came up with this condition. I'd be really shocked if anybody has heard of it, because we've never met anybody that has it. It's called inclusion body myositis. And in layman's terms, it's something that has attacked his muscles, and they're destroying the muscles in the quads and the tops of his arms, which has resulted in him having lots of mobility problems. Now through this, we've kind of had this journey, we've grown together with it, and yes, at the start I was really very anxious, and because nobody was able to tell us what was wrong, and I just thought, God, you've got to heal him, you've got to really heal him, because we all think our loved ones don't deserve what they're given. And for a long time, I couldn't understand why nothing was happening, and why God wasn't listening, and why things weren't changing, and things were getting progressively worse, as they will do with the illness. And then just something happened, and it just completely changed my thought about it, and I just said, no, God, if it's your will to heal, heal, but if it's not, give us the strength to deal with this. He's amazing. Anybody that knows Paul, he has a great attitude to everything. He just gets on with it, doesn't complain about it. He has lost so much of the things that he loves doing. But as a family, we still try to do the same things. It's more difficult because we have to be aware of steps, and can he get up, and he can't really rise from a chair like a pew here. But we've recently now got, he's got a wheelchair under the sort of advice of his consultant, which kind of tilts him up really, a bit like, you know, the riser chairs that maybe people would have. And that's great because that's going to give him a lot of independence to save him like holding on to us. He can mosey round the shops with me. I just can't wait, like, and he can't wait on them opening again, like he's not a shopper like me, but I mean, we've so much to be thankful for because we've got two strong boys that if he falls, which he does quite often, just lift the phone. They're there within seconds. They live fairly near, and they just help their daddy up. And we just sometimes he could have quite severe falls where he cuts. So it all depends the surface that he falls in. All the falls are unannounced. There's no prior warning that they're going to happen. But another great thing that God has done too by giving me this job is that I'm there for him sometimes. Whereas when I was going to school, I was out in the morning at 8:30 and I wasn't back till after 3. And we were dependent on Alexa because he can shout to Alexa if he falls and she contacts one of us, which is a great idea. Like, somebody told us that. We wanted him to get, you know, a wee wristband or a chain for around his neck, but he wasn't playing with that. And the consultant said, you know, do you have Alexa? And we said, no, we're not really techno-minded. He says, get yourself an Alexa for where you would mainly be and the dots for other parts of your home, so that if you shout, you know, that you've fallen, they'll contact, it's all tuned up that they'll contact, you know, somebody to come. And that's been amazing. That's really, really good. And it doesn't feel that he has an armband or a thing, which are great. I'm not demeaning them, but you know the way you have to get yourself into the frame of mind that you're going to wear one of them for a while. But I just think God has given me this job, that I'm there to help him in the morning time, to maybe sort of if he needs any assistance with getting socks and things on, and it's just generally there that I can use this job to sort of work around him as well, because it is 20 hours, it's not full time, and I think I haven't got used to that either, because I'm thinking, is it time to finish yet? But in pastoral work you probably never really do finish.
No, you never ever do.
But am I talking too much?
Well, I am going to wrap you up. And I really don't want to interrupt, but because it is, like, even on Thursday when we talked, I was just so intrigued about you and your life. I really was, and I learned so much. So we're going to finish up. You've talked a lot, but I certainly...
It's always, they would never send me for a message in school or anything, because they used to say,
I don't know why.
Don't send Kim because it'll be half an hour before the class will be over and all, because the time she talks to everybody on the way there and back again, so...
But we love you, and we're so grateful for you coming up and telling us everything about yourself and being so open, and just thank you.
No problem.
We're going to end. We want to pray for you.
Yeah.
What can we pray for you?
Well, there's lots of things. I mean, I think we all feel very sad at the moment about Derek. And I think we need to remember Lisa and Atticus tonight. Praying for me is not important. Lisa and Lisa and Atticus, definitely. Just the suddenness of that grief will be intense, and I just think we need to, there's lots of other people as well, but Lisa and Atticus are on my heart at the moment, and again, just maybe pray for me whenever I do lift the phone, that I'm maybe going to say the right words to somebody, and that when they come off the telephone conversation with me, that they're going to maybe be a little lifted, and just to know that there's people caring for them and that there's people thinking about them. And we're just so frustrated at the moment in church that we can't do what we really want to do, because it's a real joy to pray with people when you go into their home. And yes, you can pray over the telephone, I've done it, but it feels a bit strange to me. Maybe I'll get used to that. And also probably pray for Paul, just that we have, as a family, that we have a strength to deal with this, and just to keep him safe, and just to sort of make us really look after him so that his days are easier with us helping him.
Well, thank you, Kim.
No problem.
We are really grateful, and I'm really grateful.
No problem, Lisa. Sorry if I talked too long.
It's okay. I'm not minding at all right now because I just love you to bits, and I'm so thankful. We're going to pray with a few prayer points that Kim has raised there. And yes, it's heartbreaking news about Derek. I have no words right now, but I know God is good, and I know He knows and is in every situation, and we of course will raise them as a family up to God. So let us pray. Our God, Father, we thank you for this gathering tonight, and we thank you for Kim and the blessing she has been and continues to be for us all. God, you know everything that happens in all of our worlds and all of our lives, and where we are heartbroken and devastated by the news of the sudden passing of Derek Hall, we raise Lisa and Atticus into your loving, caring hands, and we just ask that you are with them as the next few days and everything that comes with the next few days, and that Kim in her role is able to facilitate anything that they need, and you can guide her and help her, and that you're with all the processes that need to be carried out, and you make it as easy and as flowing as possible. God, we ask that you surround them with your love, but also everybody that is here tonight and everybody who can't be here and is watching at home. We ask that you surround us with your love, your grace, and your mercy, and that you do take our hands and walk with us side by side, and you keep us on your path, and that we can serve in accordance with all of your teachings, and always your will be done. And we ask all this in your precious Son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen. Thank you, Kim.
No problem.
Want to thank Kim and thank Lisa, for that. Just obviously this didn't all happen tonight, but for the preparation that was put into that. Kim, there is a small gift from us. It's on the table here. Just we can't with all this social distancing. So just to let you know, that's been on the table and sanitised and all ready for you. And just a little gift to thank you for coming, and you can use that in your work. Just before we sing our last hymn, it was announced on Sunday and the Sunday before that for our mission fund money, this is different to the money that maybe we give each month, the money, there's a big basket, and it's for if anybody wants to give anything, which will go towards our speakers that come, and goes towards the work of our PW, if anybody wants to do that. But in the other basket, that there are a few envelopes in, we normally have our mission money boxes, So if anybody does have their mission box with them, that's not a problem, if you just leave it beside those. And they will be counted, next week. So we'll leave it a few days before they're counted, just to give all the right regulations that we have to do. That money then, the cheque has to go off sort of beginning of December, and that goes towards the home project that you saw about tonight, and that someone will be coming or will let us know about that in January meeting. And also then our overseas project that we heard about last month as well. So that'll go towards it. Again, if anybody does want to give a cheque at this time, it's to be made out to White House Presbyterian Church, PW. With a bit of a hoo-ha last year because we were doing it to the Church House, and then it wasn't showing our full contribution from White House. So if it goes into the Church PW fund, and then we do a check for everything to go to there. So if anybody feels they want to give to that, they can, and that will be very gratefully received. So we're going to sing our last hymn, another one that Kim has chosen for us, King of Kings, Majesty.